Hello, everyone, and welcome to Living Healthy and Aging Well. My name is Ken Haglind, and we are broadcasting from the AM 950 radio station that overlooks beautiful Bryant Lake Regional Park located in Eden Prairie, Minnesota. It is another, I say this every time, it's another beautiful day here in the Twin Cities, and I am so grateful to be here with you today. I hope all of you listening are doing well. We are on the air every Saturday from noon to 1 to talk about your health and your life. We cover a wide range of topics to help you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. We have another great show for you today. Joining me in a few minutes will be Zac Willette, Master of Divinity and Board Certified Hospice Chaplain, who helps patients and their families grapple with the big questions we can't avoid at end of life. Who am I now that I can't do what I've always done? Also, he studies burnout and teaches stamina. He helps us see that caregiver exhaustion and other forms of early burnout are not character flaws because we lack resilience. They are system flaws because we lack interdependence. And we'll talk about that today. Zac has lived and worked on 4 continents, including Antarctica, and loves to teach and write and listen, one of the most important characteristics of a chaplain. You'll enjoy listening to my conversation with Zac today. Also joining us is Ashley Bauer, radio show coordinator from Minnesota Hospice. She's here to help us with the broadcast today. I want to thank all of you that leave us messages on our radio show phone line. We appreciate hearing from you, and we welcome your comments, questions, and topics for future shows. Also, if you are interested in being a guest on our radio show, please call or text us at 612-999-3426. You can also contact us on our website at livinghealthyradio.com. There you can find information about upcoming guests as well as listen to our previous shows, and we look forward to hearing from you. We are adding new listeners to the show each week, not only here in the Twin Cities of Minnesota, but also throughout the country. You can find podcasts for all of our radio shows on the AM 950 radio website, and we can also be found on your favorite streaming service, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and many others. You can also watch our broadcast live on the radio station's Facebook page at AM 950 Radio. All right. If you have any questions for us, this is the time to give your cell phone a workout. We are not taking calls today, but we are taking text messages. So if you have a question, you can text us at 612-999-3426. Now, don't worry if you missed our contact number. I'll repeat it throughout the show. All right. I would like to welcome my guest for today's show, Zac Willette. He is a Master of Divinity and a board-certified hospice chaplain. Welcome to the show, Zac.
Thank you, Ken. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, this is great. We met a few months ago at one of our friends, Rachel Schroman. She was celebrating her 10-year anniversary for her law firm, and Ashley and I are celebrating 10 years Minnesota Hospice. So we kind of had parallel lives there between Rachel, and she's been on the show several times.
I bet.
She's amazing. But it was great to meet you there, and that turned into an opportunity to have you on the show.
Honored to be here.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you.
Well, listen, the audience loves to learn a little bit about the background of the guests that we have on the show. Would you maybe just share some background information with us?
Yeah. So it's always hard to know where to start, right? I've been on this planet for 52 years, and I'm still learning, still listening, still exploring. But as you mentioned, I've had a chance to live around the world and live around these states as well. And I feel like everywhere I go, I learn something new, and I'm reminded of home. I remember reading years ago that like the true definition of a wise person is someone who's able to be at home wherever they go. Mm-hmm. And so I've tried to live into that. But yeah, I'm born and raised in southern Minnesota, a little town called Blue Earth, and then did college in Nashville, Tennessee at Vanderbilt. Got to take a good 10-year break. Some people do like a gap year after college. I did a gap decade. Highly recommend. And before I did my MDiv at Boston College out on the East Coast. But Yeah, I'm from a big family, and I love languages, and I also love cycling. I did drive here. I live in downtown Minneapolis, so I did drive. Thank you to my folks who lent me their car. But yeah, I bike around downtown Minneapolis all the time.
Well, you don't need a car down in Minneapolis. I mean,
It's true.
the skyways and everything. I mean, there's
Yeah.
you don't. Plus, it's just a hassle to have a car.
The planet thanks us for
Oh
having
my
fewer
gosh.
cars, I like to think.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. Um, well, tell us, what inspired you to do what you're doing now? I mean, you've been doing stuff,
Hmm.
and we were going to talk about a couple of topics here. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the conversations about end of life.
Yeah.
We as humans finally get our attention grabbed
Hmm.
at end of life
Yeah.
to really be enlightened. And it's, we see it
Yeah.
in hospice all the time.
Yeah.
We're just so busy the rest of our lives. And all of a sudden, when the clock and the time is up,
Mhm.
now we get really serious about things that are really important.
Yeah. There's an author I really respect, Tracy Dion. She writes fiction, but she writes a lot of truth with her fiction. And she has said, focus is one of death's greatest gifts. And I think that's what you're talking about,
That's
right?
exactly right. Right.
And you can choose to focus on the stuff that's most important to you with death, or you can choose to focus on stuff that's not important, but you're going to focus,
Right.
right?
Right.
And that choice that people get to make, and accompanying people in that choice, and those choices at end of life, what a huge privilege.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Which, it's interesting just because I'm in hospice and you're in hospice, and
Yeah.
so often when we ask people, "Would you like a chaplain to
Mhm.
visit?"
Mhm.
They right away think, "Oh, last rites," or
Yeah.
Am I really dying?"
Yeah.
And you go, "No, no, no, no.
Yeah.
This is an opportunity
Yeah.
to have a conversation with someone who's trained
Yeah.
in helping navigate those questions." And so I know we're going to have opportunity for some stories here,
Yeah.
but what has been your experience, being a chaplain
Yeah.
in not only, again, emergency room, you've been a
Right.
chaplain in all
Yeah,
sorts of,
pediatric ICU,
oh my
the
gosh.
trauma center. Yeah, and in fact, when I worked in the ER or the ED, the people who work there are like, we're not a room, we're a department. So it's the ED, emergency
ED,
department.
that's right.
But my badge said in huge letters, board certified chaplain. And I would walk in and people would give me that face of like, what did they tell you that they didn't tell me?
Right.
So I would enter the room saying, first, I have no news. And they were like, oh, okay. Yeah, kind of like a little deeper breath. And I said, I'm here. My job is to provide spiritual and emotional support for you, for your people, for the staff, and for their people. I like to remind them that like the staff are people too, and that the staff have people too. But like some of the best conversations I had with folks, were didn't involve any sort of religious language, or they were never about dogma. They were about like,
Right.
hey, how are you holding up? It's my favorite spiritual care question. How are you holding up? Because it recognizes there's things that are challenging how you're holding up, and that you are holding up. Like you're still doing it, but like it might come at a cost, or you might be struggling with A or B or C. And so just following people into their meaning making and following them into what matters to them. It's a crisis that brings you to the emergency room, or a crisis or non-crisis that brings you to end of life, is a chance to really discern what matters.
Yeah.
And so to talk with people all day about what matters most to them,
Right.
what a thrill.
Really? Yep.
It's often very hilarious. It's which people don't expect. They're like, oh, your job must be so serious. I was like, oh, we laugh a lot. So yeah, it's to accompany folks at end of life is to accompany them during life,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Like we think of it as like, oh, that person's dying. It's like, no, that person is living at the end of their life,
Right.
right? And that is a big shift.
It is.
So yeah, I know one of the questions you had was like, what do you wish people knew or understood about your areas of expertise? And when it comes to end of life, I wish people knew that shaking hands with the fact that you will one day have a death is one of the most enlivening things you can do.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It just makes you're like, oh, okay, I don't have forever. I should be thinking about what matters most. I should be acting on my thoughts about what matters most. And like, yeah, it's great to know that like I should seize this day, even if seizing this day just means really deep rest.
Right.
Because rest is like, I'm wearing two hats today. One
Yes.
is like the death and dying, and the other is talking about burnout and stamina. And, rest is something that, here we are in Minnesota where we have a really strong work ethic. People like to
Right.
talk about and demonstrate their work ethic. What's our rest ethic? Right? If we're going to take work seriously, we have to
Right.
take our rest seriously too. So,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
these are all things I love talking
No,
about.
but it's so interesting. One of the reasons I think we watch our family die and our friends and neighbors die is to remind us, because I think there's a certain sense that we're immortal. I mean, there's a certain, I think people just don't think about end of life. And yet, boy, that can just frame your life so well. You can,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a quote I just heard recently that every breath we take, we're one step closer to our last one.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if you don't, that's why I'm so fascinated by this profession called hospice. But we'll pick up more of this conversation after the break here. All right. It's time for a short break, folks. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Zac Willette, Master of Divinity and board-certified hospice chaplain who helps patients and families grapple with the big questions that we can't avoid at end of life. If you have a question for Zac, please give us a text, 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Hi, I'm Mary T. I'm a proud supporter of AM 950 because this station shares the values that I care about most: community, connection, and making a difference. Just like AM 950, I believe in using our energies, our resources, and our voices to lift up others. That's why I started the Mary T. Scholar Program at the University of Minnesota College of Education and Human Development, providing graduate students with internships internationally. For over the past 10 years, our students have served communities in Laos, Cambodia, Nepal, India, Cameroon, and Thailand, gaining experience and helping people in ways that really make a difference. Supporting AM 950 fosters conversation, awareness, and action in our communities. It's about shared values and believing that together we can make a difference. Visit MaryTInc.com to learn more about the work that we do.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
Hey, Francois, where are we going and why do you have so many canvas bags?
Salut Laura, on y va chez Nicolette's Macarons.
Oh, I've never been to Nicolette's store. They're just off Highway 169 and 36th in Plymouth.
Oui, ils ont 16 saveurs de macarons là.
They have 16 flavors of macaroons at the store. That's why you have so many canvas bags. I love how Nicolette supports small food entrepreneurs. Let's hurry. They're open afternoons, Wednesday through Friday, and midday on Saturdays.
Nicolette, c'est génial. Allons-y.
Let's go.
This is Chad, owner of AM 950. Our station is located on a marsh, and we do our best not to disturb that environment. So I was thrilled to discover Natural Lawn. Their safer products and soil tests ensure that your lawn will be healthy, lush, and green. I don't even have to worry about bringing my furry friend to the station, thanks to the great care from Natural Lawn. I highly recommend Natural Lawn to keep your lawn beautiful, healthy, without compromising safety and sustainability. More at naturalawn.com.
All right, welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Zac Willette, Master of Divinity and board-certified hospice chaplain, who is helping people and families grapple with the big questions that we can't avoid at end of life. And we're going to talk more about that this segment. He has a quote here. He says, "The big question is, who am I now that I can't do what I've always done?" And I think we'll talk a little bit about that this segment here. He also studies burnout and teaches stamina. And we're going to hopefully have the second half of the show here to talk about that for all of you healthcare professionals out there that listen to us, and anybody in general, especially healthcare, but it could be anything in life, any profession. But he really helps us see the caregiver exhaustion and other forms of early burnout are not character flaws because we lack resilience. They're system flaws because we lack interdependence. And we'll talk about that here in the third and fourth segments. Zac, how can our listeners contact you if they have questions or want more information about the things you're doing? What's the best way for them to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so my website's probably the best. It is Zac, Z-A-C Willette, all one word, ZACWILLETTE.org. My parents chose just 3 letters for my first name, Zac. When I meet somebody who spells it Z-A-C-H, I'm like, Zach? Or Z-A-C-K, I'm like, Zac? What is that? So ZACWILLETTE.org. Thanks.
Right, fantastic, and we'll give that out throughout the show here, folks.
Yeah.
Well, let's keep on the theme here
Of death and dying.
Death and dying,
Yeah.
and a lot of people. It's interesting. I find that people, when they ask, what do you do, or what fascinates you in life, and what's your passion, and you start to talk about death and dying and the end of life and things, and people, there's 2 responses.
Mhm.
Sometimes simultaneously they're going, "Ooh, I could never do that," or "How can you do that?"
Yeah.
But on the other hand, though, they're really curious.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's funny. Since we're on the radio, people can't see. When you did the first part, ooh, you leaned back. Because there is like a lean away from it. And then when you did the second part, ooh, I'm curious, you leaned in. And that's exactly what happens. People do simultaneously lean back and kind of lean in. Because I think people do, on some level, know we're all going to have a death. Right. But they're also like, we live in a culture that's kind of thanatophobic, right? That's like afraid of death even. And there are cultures in the US who genuinely believe that talking about death hastens death.
Oh.
And so I want to make sure that we level set that for those cultures, like I come into my work with great respect for people's culture and their worldview and their understanding. And so that's important to say, but we always find a way to respectfully engage in this conversation. And in a humorous way, a friend of mine likes to point out that just like talking about sex doesn't make you pregnant, talking about death doesn't make you dead.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, just the opposite. So shouldn't it be, you talk about death should make you more alive?
It does.
I mean, make you more appreciative?
Yeah. Especially when, for me, I like engaging people and like helping them find ways to articulate their values. If you stop someone on the street and you're like, Ashley, what are your values? It'd be like, it's hard to think. But if I'm like, Ashley, tell me a story that matters, you will reveal your values in that story, right? Because our choices that we've made in our life reveal our values. This is actually part of what I went to grad school and studied about how, like, if someone tells a story of themselves and it's about a tough choice, that choice is going to reveal their values. And if you have any opportunity for leadership, you need to make a public account over your values. Anyway, that's a whole different radio show called Public Narrative, a whole different time. But going back to like this lean in and lean out that happens, I think people are aware of it, and we do want to shift our culture from one that is afraid to talk about death and dying, or that sort of says that's for later, to, as you're saying, no, if we talk about it now, we're going to feel so much more alive. And if I can draw one thread from there, Ken, it would be, so I worked in the trauma center for years in Chicago, amazing colleagues that I got to work with there, and I saw there that you don't have to be old to die.
Right.
Because people came in with car crashes, gunshots, stab wounds, electrical things, burns. And then B, I saw that you don't have to be sick to suddenly not be able to speak for yourself. a lot of us, when we think of like advanced care planning, we're like, yeah, I'll do that once I'm sick, right? But like, you don't have to be sick to something. So I really encourage people to tell their people, like their loved ones, their family of choice, whatever it is, and their medical team, tell them, hey, this is what I want, and this is what I don't want, and here's the important part, and this is why.
Right.
Because I saw when I also worked in the ICU that people would be presented with these situations, and they're like, well, Grandpa said he wanted this and didn't want that. And I'm like, cool. Unfortunately, we're in between what Grandpa said.
Right.
So can you tell us why Grandpa wanted those things or didn't want those things? And people were just at a loss.
Right.
And they went from feeling so prepared to feeling so, oh my gosh, are we going to do the wrong thing by Grandpa? Right? Are we going to do wrong by him?
Right.
And so I strongly encourage people to articulate the why
Yes.
of what matters. And I've got a story if we have time for how that why can change.
Yes.
Sometimes in a heartbeat.
Right.
So I worked with this family in Tennessee, and this man was super clear that he never wanted to be hooked up to any machines. And his why was also super clear. He had watched his own father suffer while on machines that his own father didn't want. Now, importantly, there are people who want to be on machines, and they should.
Yep.
Right? And there are people who say, I always do everything, and we should honor that. I want to be clear about that. But for this man, he had seen his dad. It was partially the suffering, the pain of being on those machines, they have great medicines for. But the pain he saw in his father was, my dad didn't want this. But my dad had never taken steps. So here I am now. I'm taking steps so that I don't do what doesn't happen to my dad happen to me. Great, super clear.
Yeah.
Well, we're having a conversation with his family about his wishes, because that's another really important thing to do, so people know what you want and why. And his daughter has just moved abroad. So she's joining this through the miracle of like a video call. Actually, it was audio only. But I used my sort of spiritual care spidey sense to sense that she was uncomfortable about this no machines thing. And so I used her name and I said, do you have anything you want to ask or add? And she said, Dad, are you sure about that? And he was like, yeah. And he restated the story of why. And then I was like, do you want to ask your dad a different question? And she said, well, Dad, I'm all the way in Peru. And I would want to say goodbye to you in person. I would want to actually like touch your hand and kiss your forehead. And he was like, you would? He had no idea. It was totally off his radar. And she was like, yes. And he was like, okay, well, if it matters to you, it matters to me. He said, Zach, change it. Like, change what we put in this little plan so that it says, I should be kept alive until any immediate family member for whom it's important to say a physical in-person goodbye gets to do that physical in-person goodbye. So it's a 180-degree change, and he was even more excited about his new policy than his old policy, or his new plan than his old plan.
Well,
and that's because we had the conversation. It never would have come up otherwise.
Right. And a whole new insight to his daughter.
Yeah.
That he never had.
Yeah.
All right. Well, quick plug. Advanced care directives. You and I both believe heavily in those things.
Sure.
Get them done.
Yep. And include the why. Don't forget the why.
The why is so, because that helps you navigate decisions, right?
Yeah.
All right. Quickly here, it's time for a short break, folks. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Zac Willette, Master of Divinity and Board Certified Hospice Chaplain. If you have a question, text us at 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Hey, it's Tom Hartman from my friends at All Energy Solar, and I want to talk about something most people don't consider until it's too late. Energy independence isn't just about saving money. It's also about what happens when the grid goes down. Severe weather, aging infrastructure, unexpected outages, they happen, and when they do, most homes go dark. But not homes with solar and battery backup from All Energy Solar. Here's what makes it work. Solar panels charge the battery during the day, so when a storm hits or the grid fails, your home stays powered. Lights, refrigerator, medical equipment, whatever matters most keeps running. All Energy Solar is certified by both Tesla and Enphase for battery storage and has been installing complete solar plus battery systems since 2009. Minnesota battery rebates are also available. Don't wait for the next outage to wish you had acted. Visit allenergysolar.com or call 800-620-3370 for your free evaluation today.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh, every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Mavericks Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
I have the perfect weekend getaway for you. Take the short drive to Winona and see the 2 productions of the Great River Shakespeare Festival in their new home in the heart of downtown. Great River specializes in making Shakespeare fun and relevant to modern audiences. See A Midsummer Night's Dream and Pericles. Spend the night in the brand new luxurious Hotel 44 North, right on the Mississippi River. It will be the best weekend of your summer, June 24th to July 26th. Visit grsf.org.
Big Hill Books, the happiest bookstore in Minneapolis, is still well worth the trip. With the arrival of springtime, construction season is here, including a major MnDOT project at I-394 and Penn Avenue. Follow the well-marked detour signs and enjoy a few extra minutes through the idyllic Bryn Mawr neighborhood. You'll find us at 405 Penn Avenue South. Plan your visit at bighillbooks.com. Big Hill Books. Read, think, grow.
Looking for a gift Dad will actually enjoy? Stop by Popcorn in Minnetonka. Celebrate Father's Day with a gourmet popcorn in dozens of delicious flavors, like classic caramel and cheese, and bold favorites like street taco and jalapeno ranch. And if you're planning on a graduation party, let Popcorn bring the fun. Their popcorn bars, party favors, and custom gift tins are a crowd-pleasing way to celebrate your graduate. Visit popcorn.com or stop by the store today. Popcorn, making Father's Day and graduation celebrations pop.
With your AM 950 weather, this is Adam. 76 under partly sunny skies today. For tonight, clouds roll in, a low of 56. And for tomorrow, cloudy and a high of 74. Crooner Supper Club is a little piece of old-school nightlife in the 21st century. Enjoy a delicious dinner, fabulous cocktails, and music from some of the best jazz artists. Crooner Supper Club is just north of 694 off of Highway 65. Find the upcoming music schedule and more details at croonersmn.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Welcome back, everyone. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Zac Willette, Master of Divinity and board-certified hospice chaplain, and he helps patients and families grapple with the big questions at end of life, and he's also a big proponent of helping people with burnout and stamina, and we're going to shift gears and talk about that here for the next 2 segments. But before we return to our conversation with Zac, I want Ashley Bauer, our radio show coordinator, has a word for us.
This radio show is brought to you in part each week by Minnesota Hospice. Minnesota Hospice is an independent, locally owned medical practice serving our Twin Cities communities with comprehensive end-of-life health care. The team at Minnesota Hospice provides patients and family members with award-winning end-of-life healthcare services. You may not be aware that hospice brings compassionate medical, social, emotional, and spiritual services to your home with typically no cost to you or your family. Please do not wait to learn how hospice care can benefit you and your loved ones. If you have any questions regarding end-of-life care or support, please contact the compassionate team of experts at Minnesota Hospice. They're available to answer your questions 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Their phone number is 952-898-1022. Once again, that's 952-898-1022. Or you can visit them online at minnesotahospice.com.
All right. Thank you, Ashley. All right, Zac, how can our listeners contact you if they have questions, want more information, just want to strike up a conversation about these amazing topics of death and dying and burnout and stamina?
Yeah, so for the death and dying stuff, I should have mentioned I am so proud to work for a nonprofit hospice called Beyond Hospice, based in the Twin Cities and serving the whole metro area. We just got awarded our 5-star. We're really proud of that. Beyond Hospice mn.org is our website for death and dying type stuff. You can call the good folks at our office. We always have real live humans answering the phone 24 hours a day. And overnight it's a nurse. It's not an answering service. We're proud of that. And then for my burnout and stamina work, you can just go to my website, which is zacwillette.org. ZACWILLETTE.org.
All right, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so we're shifting gears here. So I guess the question is, what do you wish people knew more about burnout and stamina? And it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It is such a chronic issue in the healthcare system.
Oh, yeah.
And yet, here's people that are trained healthcare professionals, and they're the ones suffering the most, it appears to me, from burnout and stamina issues that they again, there's a lot of work and there's a lot of effort to help solve those issues, but
Yes.
it's still a long road.
Yeah, it is a long road, and we could trade statistics all day about how prevalent it is, and the bottom line is it's too prevalent. Like we shouldn't have it. And what makes me sad is that so often good-hearted, good-minded people will say like, okay, burnout is an issue in my field, or it's an issue in my life, so I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to add in burnout prevention, right? I'm going to take on one more thing. And guess what? If you take on one more thing, you're going to burn out faster, especially if you think that burnout is a character flaw, is an issue of character, is like, oh, it's my fault, right? It's an individual issue. Right. Christina Maslach has been studying burnout for 40 years. Her research is groundbreaking, and she's incredible. And she was super clear from the beginning, a message that still has not gotten through to everybody, which is it's not a character flaw, it's a system flaw, right? Burnout is the result of chronic, unaddressed stress and fatigue, often at work, but not only at work. And I like talking about caregiver fatigue, because in our country, we have a lot of that going on. So, it's important to start by saying adding one more thing to your plate will actually not burn you out slower. It will burn you out faster. The other thing I like to do is I like to shift the conversation kind of upstream. And I'll tell a story from Antarctica. So I lived in Antarctica for 5.5 months, and the people whose job it was to keep us alive hardly ever talked about frostbite. Even though in Antarctica, frostbite kills people, it maims people. If you get a little bit of frostbite, you're vulnerable to frostbite in that same spot for the rest of your life. Instead, they talked about frost nip, which is early frostbite. Because they told us if you pay attention to, look for signs, and take action on frost nip, you never get frostbite. Well, guess what? It's the same with burnout. So I use this term. I'm pretty sure I coined it. My web searches, I think, back this up. Singe out. So not full-on burnout, just like you're singed around the edges. And just like with frost nip, if you look for signs of singe out, take action on signs of singe out, then you're never going to end up in burnout. So I really want to move the conversation upstream. And let's not wait until it's like, oh my gosh, I can't get out of bed, or oh, I resent my colleagues, I resent my patients, I resent my neighbors, I resent the person who cut me off on the road. Like, if we're getting to that, we might be pretty close. Let's look upstream, right? Let's look up. And the good news is, a little bit of course correction upstream is going to yield a ton of benefits in terms of sort of long-term prevention for all the costs, human costs, spiritual costs, economic costs, if you want to get to that level of burnout.
Yeah. It just, and it's, what's so interesting to me is that it's like the frog in the beaker. You slowly turn up that heat.
Mm-hmm.
And the frog could jump out anytime it wanted to, but
Yeah.
it gets more and more accustomed to getting boiled to death. And I'm thinking that's where organizations, family, friends, I've had guests on the show here who are heavily involved in trying to prevent burnout.
Yeah.
And they say, you want to create an environment where people can have a check-in with you. Or you say, hey, Zac, have you noticed anything about me differently? Because it's so hard to know thyself, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, so the big shift I like people to make is away from this notion of self-care, which is not bad, but it has some unintentional downsides. There's a woman named Pooja Lakshman who wrote a really good book called Real Self-Care. And the subtitle is something, I should have brought it. It's something like bubble baths, yoga retreats, and crystal cleanses not included, right? Because so often there's it's become this multi-trillion, with the T, trillion-dollar industry where people are trying to buy solutions and saying it's on my shoulders and it's my self-care. Well, self-care is good, but the term makes it seem like there's something wrong with you and that you need to fix it. So what I do is I broaden the conversation from self-care, which is good, but is insufficient, broaden it to stamina care. And defining it right from the start is that something is not wrong with you, something is wrong with the system. And instead of you needing to fix it, we all need to work together to address it. And at the same time, acknowledging that there are a whole lot of things that are right internally and externally, and we need to support those things that are right. So we shift from individual and collective, and from individual to collective, and from fix to address and support. And that just makes a big shift right there, right? And my favorite quote about the notion that stamina care has to be both individual and collective actually comes from an acupuncturist, Laconia, who I know, who on her website, she said, she's talking about healing. I'm talking about stamina. It's the same notion. Healing is individual because no one can do it for you, but it's collective because no one can do it alone. And I think that those two notions are so important to hold on. The creative tension between those of like, yeah, no one can do it for you. It's your work, and you can't do it alone. You know, that's that interdependence we were talking about before. That is just so key.
Yeah. I think just my experience in healthcare is the people drawn to healthcare, they're yes people. Yes. You need help. Yes.
I can do something. Yep.
Right.
I got an idea. We can do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think they have a hard time with the no.
Yeah.
To say no, because that no is empowering. Because again, it goes back to the airlines.
Yeah.
Put your oxygen mask on first before you. But I tell you, it's so hard in healthcare.
Yeah.
Just the way the system is designed, and just the pressures and stresses and all that.
Yep.
It's tough.
If I can pull the thread of that, that put your own oxygen mask on first, that is great. But it's for when there's a plane going down. Like, how about if we don't have planes going down, right? How about if we don't lack oxygen in the? Because I've actually been on a plane where we had to put on an oxygen mask. We survived, obviously, but like, I was like, this is the wrong metaphor. It's useful, but it's one piece of the mosaic, not the whole mosaic. And I want to really do our work such that nobody is lacking oxygen to need to put a mask on in the first place. Right.
Let's go to the singe outside of it.
Yeah.
It's way before you even get in the plane. Let's make sure we take care of you.
Yeah. And so one concrete idea that I get from a really great book called Burnout by the Nagoski sisters is that just because you've dealt with the stressor doesn't mean you've dealt with the stress. So, in other words, just because you dealt with whatever was causing this stress, you're like, okay, cool, there was this problem, I solved it, we're done. You know, doesn't mean you've dealt with what happened in your body when that stress was in your body. So, we need to actually take time to exhale, to breathe, to connect with things that matter, people that matter. The book is full of, and the workshops that I do are full of very concrete things that take 3 seconds and things that take 3 hours and everything in between for how we can actually deal with the stress in our bodies, not just the stressors in our lives.
Yeah. I remember this was probably 40 years ago. The CDC came out with a report.
Yep.
And they said that 90%, if not 100%, of all non-acute disease is stress-related. It's psychosomatic. We do it to ourselves in a sense. And I thought
or our environment does it to us.
Right. And we don't.
It's our interaction with the environment.
Right. And we haven't built up the ability to deal with that or create immunity to that. But I thought that was so interesting that they've known about this for decades.
Yeah.
And yet here we are talking about it.
Yeah.
And it should be something that is almost a prerequisite to working, especially in high stress situations, whether it's hospice or healthcare or anything, in fact, any walk of life. Just being a caregiver is stressful because you give so much to the people you're caring for.
Yeah, and caregivers will say, I get so much out of it. And we're like, that is great. But your brain, the amygdala in your brain and the ulcer in your stomach does not know that you're getting a lot out of it. They only know that this is really stressful. And so what can we do, again, big ways and small ways, to let your body know that you're safe, to let your body know that that stressor is over, and you can exhale, and you can, because we tend to just go to the next stressor of like, I dealt with this, what's next?
Right.
You know, what's on fire now? Okay, this fire's out. What's on fire now? We gotta savor that the fire is out, so our body can move on, and our spirits too, and our communities too. Like, it's all these levels at once.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
All right. More to talk about. It's time for a short break. We'll be right back to continue our conversation with Zac Willette, Master of Divinity and board-certified hospice chaplain. And we have one more segment left here. We're going to keep covering about the burnout and stamina that hopefully everybody can take some solace in here that we're talking about. If you have a question, please give us if you have a question, just text us, 612-999-3426. I'm Ken Haglind, and you are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. Summer is here and Zero Res has the best deal of the summer on tap just for you right now. School's going to be out if it's not out already, and maybe you're having a graduation party at your house or a summer celebration with friends and family. Don't let rising gas prices stop you from having a clean, healthy home. Zero Res is keeping comfort affordable with powerful cleaning at a price families can feel good about. Get things off on the right foot this summer with Zero Res's big summer savings. Get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $149 plus $599 for a whole system air duct cleaning. Call 9520-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and say you want the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Hi, I'm Mary T. Caring for others runs deep in my family. My grandmother, Rosa, was a nurse who cared for people in their homes more than a century ago. Inspired by her compassion, my mother, Margaret, and I founded the Mary T. family of companies nearly 50 years ago. Today, we continue that legacy across Minnesota, Wisconsin, Maryland, and Arizona, providing senior living, assisted living with memory care, home health, hospice care, rental housing, and support for people with disabilities. Each service is personal, creative, and focuses on the unique needs of those we serve. We also believe in joy and community, which is why we opened Crooner Supper Club in Fridley, a place to celebrate life with music, laughter, and connection. At Mary T., we're proud to be a Minnesota family company rooted in compassion, inclusion, and respect, and proud supporters of AM 950 and the values that this station represents. Visit MaryTinc.com to learn more.
Congratulations to Mary T., named one of the most admired CEOs of 2026 by the Minneapolis-St. Paul Business Journal.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is having their annual maintenance service special. Every stove, insert, and fireplace needs regular maintenance. Woodland goes over the critical components that control your fire to ensure safe and efficient operation. Get it done now and save $40, and you'll be ready to fire up the next cool night.
Hi, I'm Adam Ostrowski, co-owner and head of service at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. We have the equipment and the know-how to supply and maintain stoves and fireplaces. Contact us by phone at 612-338-6606 or request service online at woodlandstoves.com and take advantage of our spring service and maintenance special.
This is a great time of year to visit the store. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces is located just off of I-94 and Riverside Avenue and East Franklin Avenue in Minneapolis. Open weekdays 9:30 to 5:30 and 9:30 to 4 on Saturdays. They invite you to visit and see the Twin Cities' most diverse selection of wood, gas, and electric stoves and fireplaces.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces. Out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You are listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about helping you and your loved ones improve and enjoy your quality of life. My name is Ken Haglind, and joining me today is Zac Willette, Master of Divinity and board-certified hospice chaplain, and he is here talking about death and dying, which we talked about the first half of the show, and now we're focusing on burnout and resilience and stamina. And before we jump into that, Zac, if people have questions or want more information, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah. So my website is Zac Willette, so ZACWILLETTE.org. And you were asking if I had any talks coming up.
I was going to say yes.
Yeah, so I do workshops for nonprofits and for-profits, for organizations that are interested in these issues and looking to grow and take better care of their staff and their community. And then my dear friend and colleague Rosie Gaston and I are actually getting to keynote a conference where we're addressing not just these themes, but also the theme of collective grief, which is the theme of the Brighter Days All Things Grief Conference coming up on Thursday, August 13th at the St. Paul River Center. And you can get more information about that and register for it at the Brighter Days website. They're such an amazing local resource that we have. I'm sure you know
I've
all
had her
about
on the
them.
show.
Yeah,
no, she's
such good folks.
Carol, she's fantastic. I was at the conference last year too.
Nice.
And I would recommend anybody who's in social services, any healthcare, it's a great conference.
Yeah,
So,
anybody just who is grappling with grief professionally or even personally, you'll be welcome at that conference.
Yeah,
It's
just
good.
wonderful.
Yeah.
So your workshops,
Yeah.
if an organization was interested in doing a workshop,
Mm-hmm.
are they half-day workshops, all-day workshop? What
Yeah.
kind of structure do you have for those? 'Cause we have a lot of healthcare professionals that listen to the show.
Thanks. Yeah, so we kind of skipped over this, but I'm originally trained as a teacher and taught everything from kindergarten up to grad school. And so I am highly flexible. And I have learned that really helps organizations where they're like, look, we can give you 45 minutes over lunch. I'm like, sold. Or they're like, we can do 90 minutes twice a week for 7 weeks. Love it. And everything in between. Because it's not helpful for me to be like, you have to do everything in order to do anything.
Right.
So I love learning about an organization, learning what their values are, and then custom making stuff. Like I've got a lot of really concrete things that people walk away with, tools and frameworks that they use, and people say, wow, okay, this actually genuinely helped me, not just tomorrow, this helped me right now.
Right.
That's the goal.
And that's what people need. They need something they can take away, something they can take with them right now. Because it's so easy to put off things like that. Because sometimes it's hard work sometimes to have to evaluate yourself or just
for sure
change your habit, change a way of thinking, change a way of doing. So talking about tools.
Yeah, let's go. I've got some.
Yes, let's talk about things that can help people that are pre-burnout.
When you're in that singe out space.
Yes.
So all these are evidence-based tools. Like I am a big believer that like if something can be shown to work with like a double-blind multivariate study, I'm gonna put even more stock in it, right? So there's so much study on breath.
Yes.
This breath is this weird thing where we both can control it and can't control it. Like when we're asleep and we're not really controlling our breathing, we're still breathing. And when we're in a meditative space and we're like thinking about our breathing, we control it. And that kind of makes it magical. So the one tool I always teach people, because it's the simplest, is exhale longer than you inhale to tell your body that you're safe and to process some of the stress. So there's magical numbers out there that have been studied for, breathe in for 4, hold for 6, breathe out for 8. That's been studied. I just say make a longer exhale. That's easy. So if we all do it on the radio together, listen now. In and out. And it can be a long, super long out. It can be a short out. Let's do another one. In and out. If you do that just 3 times, you can start to track differences in your body. Of course, you could do that for 12 minutes. That's what the research shows. Mindfulness, any mindfulness practice, 12 minutes a day, every day, is shown to have the best benefit. And people will think, I get so distracted during mindfulness, I can't do it. I'm like, did you notice that you were distracted? They're like, well, yeah. I'm like, good. Then you were being mindful. Like, that counts. That counts. We think we have to be like a guru, guru yogi retreat on top of a hill. Nope. You just have to be paying attention to where your attention goes. Another really concrete thing I love to encourage people to, again, there's some new research on this. Find a song that you listened to at a time when you felt powerful, or a time when you felt at ease. For a lot of folks, it's the songs of their adolescence, even though a lot of us didn't feel at ease or in power when we were in our adolescence. But there's actually neurological research that listening to music and singing along, if you will, We'll get to the humming and singing part in a second. That's the third strategy. But singing along or listening to music from a time when you felt powerful literally reminds your brain not of that song or of that time, but that you are powerful and that you can be at ease. So music is super powerful. And if we can sing along, there's some research that humming, literally just it can be a note, it can not be a note. My friend Melissa Borgman, if you're listening, I just impersonated you. She's always saying, she's a beautiful voice. And so she will hum, and it works. It works to sort of like process some of the things that are going on in your body that are really powerful. And those are all like physical things. There's also really simple mental things, like naming your feeling. So the researchers call this name it to tame it. I will caution you, just naming it doesn't totally tame it, but it is powerful when you're feeling overwhelmed to literally say out loud, I feel overwhelmed. And the way this works, from what the neuroscientists tell us, is then your brain goes from like, there's a vague threat out there to, oh, there's a concrete threat. It's called being overwhelmed. And guess what? The second step is, have I been overwhelmed before? Yes. Have I made it through that? Yes. What helped then? Hopefully it was a healthy strategy you used for what helped you when you were feeling overwhelmed before. But so much of my work is helping people reorient to what their body already knows to help them when they're in that singe out space. One of the other authors I really like talking about, Sonia Renee Taylor, in her book, The Body is Not an Apology, makes a comment about the acorn doesn't need to go to a workshop to become an oak tree. It already has it inside it.
That's right. That's right. We're done with this show, unfortunately. Shoot.
I heard the music coming in.
I know. Adam is keeping us on schedule here.
Love
I appreciate that. Well, we have to have you back. I mean, there's
just
so much to talk about.
Thanks.
This has been wonderful. All right, folks, we are at the end of the show. I want to thank Zac Willette, Master of Divinity and Board Certified Hospice Chaplain, for joining us today to talk about big questions at end of life, talk about burnout and stress, and we'll have to have him back for another show. Zac, how can our listeners contact you if they have questions or want more information?
Yeah, zacwillette.org. And I do have to say, Master of Divinity is the name of my degree, my master's degree. It's not a title I used every day.
MDiv, yes. But no one knows what an MDiv is.
No one does. You're right. So thanks for explaining that.
All right. We hope you enjoyed today's show. Please contact us with any questions or comments you have regarding today's conversation. You can reach us anytime by voice or text at 612-999-3426. Ashley Bauer, thank you for being here today. Appreciate your help. Join us again next Saturday for another broadcast, and thank you for listening to Living Healthy and Aging Well, where we talk about your health and your life. Until next time, choose to live well.